Now, the two biggest problems facing the tile industry, one I already mentioned, actually both I mentioned in passing. The two biggest problems are lack of consumer confidence the world over, unwillingness to invest money, to spend money, and the fact that our government, our big government, only funds big business, crony capitalism, which I have already said I think is going to decline. We're not getting credit from the banks that have been propped up. We have not yet been able to convince our bankers that expansion of our operations is worthy of the community, worthy of society. We've got to break that deadlock. I've been studying the industry for 5 months, aside from having lived in a tile house, and more of a tile house for the last 14 years. I've interviewed many of you by phone, more of you by the internet, and I find a number of interesting things. I did a survey among you. Some of you might have answered it, and I found out that 50% of you have seen business increase in the last 6 months. 40% of you have seen business stay flat for the last 6 months. Only 10% of you have seen business decline. I have sensed in all my conversations a cautious optimism that things are going to get better. And they are going to get better, and I'm going to help you make it so. But I've also found that you are 100% unanimous in 4 areas that you are disturbed about in our government. You're concerned about health care and rising health care costs. And I can tell you that they'll only get higher and higher if the Obamacare bill is not ultimately either dismembered or repealed. You're concerned about the power of union labor in the work you do in the commercial sector. You're all concerned about taxes being too high. And perhaps more than anything, you're all concerned about regulations strangling your business. For 11 years up to 2008, your industry was growing. In 2008, it was virtually halved. I don't know if we went from 5,000 installs down to 3,000 and 500 distributors down to 300 and 50 manufacturers down to 30, but it's somewhere in there. The business, your businesses were cut in half. Your industry was cut in half. But that is not all bad. That is not all bad. And you heard Niall talk about it in the beginning, that we'll probably lose a few more yet. But who did we lose? We lost the weakest companies. Everyone here was able to get rid of their weakest employees. You were able to look at your balance sheets and get rid of expenses that were unnecessary. So it wasn't all bad. There are some fabulously optimistic things in your business, one of which I want to promote big time. It's a 10-year project for you. Most of our homes and businesses are heated by forced air. We pump hot air into our rooms. Where does the heat go? Where would we like the heat? It's stupid. Radiant heat is the way to go. We've got to get with builders, we've got to get with everybody and convince them when we build new homes, it's very expensive as a remodel, though I have friends that have done it, that it only makes sense to heat from the floor. And we really don't want to put carpet on a heated floor, do we? The chemicals in the carpet create gases, and we are a chemophobic society. If radiant heat comes in as it should, carpet will go down and tile will go up. Just a small thing. I was very involved many years ago in the irrigation business. And when we started irrigating with sprinkler irrigation some decades ago, we threw the water up in the air, and as Eric pointed out to me, because we wanted to simulate rain. I had never used that term. I only thought in terms of spreading the water over a large area, but he's right. We wanted to simulate rain by throwing the water up in the air, where on the way down, 50% of it evaporated. It was the stupidest thing in the world. We don't do that anymore. We now have drip irrigation, and we drop the water right on the soil where we need it. Forced air heating is stupid. It will take a decade for radiant heat to take off, but when it does, and it should and it will, tile floor covering is going to prosper. Good news for manufacturers is that you have a very energy-intensive business heating your tile in kilns. Natural gas has come way down. It's going to stay way down because shale gas is awesome, even though environmental zealots want to stop it by saying the fracking fluids pollute. Trust me, they do not. Been involved in fracking for 60 years. You can drink. I will drink the fracking fluids. Most of them are used to kill bacteria from clogging the cracks that are created, reduce surface tension. Most of the chemicals are in our foods and our cosmetics, and the shale is thousands of feet below most of our groundwater. In the 60 years we've been doing it in oil, there are very few cases of groundwater contamination, and all of them were a result of poorly constructed wells. So we can be optimistic about that. Now, you are an amazing industry, and one of the things nobody knows about you is how technological you are. You have a 296-page standard manual that I imagine most of the people in this room own, but I guarantee you that more than half of the membership of your three associations do not own that standard manual. That standard manual should be on the desk of every single business in your industry, not just to know all the right things, but to show it to your customers. They have no clue how amazing tile is and how much is involved in it. It needs aggressive promotion. You've created this fabulous manual. Eric tells me you're printing close to 80,000 copies a year. I don't know where they're going to. But I know that the vast majority in your industry does not have it, and it's something that should be in. I can tell you that remodeling is going to be the future for some years over new home construction. And we did some remodeling. Let me talk about our tile remodeling that you need to be focusing on. Our home has a very small kitchen, and my wife has never been happy with it. But she didn't know how to make it better. And one day we were at a home show, and we walked into a tile distributors store in the home show, independently of each other, strange enough, because it's hard to go to a home show and go together. You go at your own pace, so we were going different places. And I walk into this place, and I saw a tile countertop and a tile backsplash. I instantly fell in love with it, and I said, I want to buy your display. I don't need to look at your samples. I want this copper metallic backsplash across all the walls of our kitchen. I want this granitic tile on our countertops. And I said, how soon can you come out to my house? She said, I'm sure we can do it in about a week. And she said, give me your address. I said, 6011 Houseman Road, Ostrander, Ohio. And she said, gee, about 20 minutes ago, it must have been your wife that was in here and ordered it too. I got goosebumps. It was just so exciting that we had happened on the same thing. Well, we put it in. And the only problem with it is that when I'm supposed to be working with my wife, washing the dishes and cleaning the kitchen, I'm standing there admiring the artwork in this kitchen. It's gorgeous. We've now had it for about a year and a half. And I'm still standing there admiring. There is so many gorgeous things you can do in the industry, in a home, in remodel, that is absolutely spectacular and brings joy, and that's what you've got to do. You've got to take on the big box stores. You are selling luxury, quality, longevity, art, value. You don't buy paintings for your living room from Walmart. And we shouldn't be buying tile where they commoditize it at the big box store. You're not competing with 99 cents a square foot tile. And those big box stores are hurting your business for the following reasons. The people that go there to get some cheap tile are either do-it-yourselfers, they're going to put it in themselves, or they're going to hire an installer, the cheapest installer they can find. When things don't work out and it's not as nice as they had hoped, what do they blame? The tile. It gives a black eye to the industry. We've got to understand that. Now, we have a problem in tile when we compete with other floor coverings is because the installation is so costly. As you all know, the cost of the tile is about equal. The cost of good tile is equal to the cost of a good installation. It is so cheap to install carpet that the average distributor folds it into his price of his carpet and says free installation. I could teach you how to lay carpet in an afternoon. I couldn't teach you how to install tile in a month. Yet they're both floor coverings, and it's a problem for us that we have to overcome. We've got to be talking about life cycle trends. You've got a website that shows how the cost of your tile per year diminishes as you move out. Between 5 and 7 years, tile is cheaper than carpet, but people are short-sighted. They think about the price now. They don't think about the future. And you've got to change that. Now, things are changing dramatically. It used to be that we lived in the same home for 5 years. Now the average has become 7 years. That works to our advantage. We can promote the fact that tile is low maintenance, resists scratching, virtually no odor, and as I always like to come back to, the work of art. But I've got some advice that really only came to me in the last few days for every installer in this room and every installer you know. I'm the chairman of my college reunion this spring. And I was in charge of hiring entertainers for a Friday and Saturday night party and getting the sound system for the whole area on campus where we're having our party and for the entertainers. And I contacted a reputable sound company that's worked with the university, and this very week they sent me their bid. And the opening sentence of the bid was, "Dear Dr. Lehr, we're pleased to submit the following bid for the sound at your reunion for $3,274. I mean, my brain exploded. I mean, how much could an amp cost? A microphone? I mean, I had no experience in this area. Wow, I mean, I was just blown away. I expected it to be around half that. But in the same email was the breakdown of that $3,274. There were 14 line items. And every one of them was reasonable. When I found out what was involved, I became quite comfortable. I checked a couple other companies that were in the same area, and I was very comfortable accepting the bid for $3,274. You've got to do the same thing. Installers is not give a bid for installation, but break it down. You've got supplies, you've got backing, you've got underlaying, you got fasteners, you got adhesive, you got your layout, you got your assembly, you got your hauling and disposal. Don't put down a price for installation. Explain to people what it is. They do not appreciate what is involved in installation. I have 4 major suggestions for this industry. I'm just bold enough that the 4 things that I'm going to conclude at some length the next 10 minutes could change this industry if you're willing to undertake them. Minimum of effort. The industry lacks a unified slogan. Everybody in this audience can vaguely remember 20 years ago when the egg we ate for breakfast was said to contain so much cholesterol it would clog your arteries. Don't eat eggs. The egg industry got together behind a unified slogan that was planted across the countryside on billboards and radio and television ads. I'm guessing that most of you can tell me what that slogan was, or some the likes of it. I've written 5. I don't expect you to adopt any of them, but it will give you an idea. Tile, it's for life. Ceramic tile, art beneath your feet. Tile, built tough. Of course, I stole that from Ford. Tile, value, beauty, longevity. Tile, tough, clean, durable. Tile, the masterpiece beneath your feet. Tile, always luxurious. Nothing is off limit in the creative process, and I strongly suggest you create a contest. Get people revved up at all 3 of your trade groups. You need a unifying slogan. Ford, built tough. Everyone knows it. 20 years later, you knew the incredible edible egg, and you've not seen it in writing or print and TV in many years. I honestly believe if we come out with the right slogan and are unified in our having it all over our showrooms, our cards, our brochures, our advertising, in a reasonable number of years, we will win the hearts and minds of the public, and they will not have sticker shock with the initial cost of tile being so much more than carpet.